Welcome to Close Quarters as we sit to have a conversation about the new normal. And this time around, we are speaking about the music industry, the industry that keeps us moving when we go for the batch parties, or it can be weddings or 31st nights. And one of the main men in the scene is, of course, Rajitha, who is the main face for Misty. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you very much, Dano.
Rajitha and I have lots of things in common. Kotena times. We have we have all sorts of stories that we have shared over the years. But Rajitha, you have made music your full-time job, and you have performed in every stage possible here and globally. How is it now to just sit put at home on the days where you will be so busy suiting yourself up and out there?
Yeah, this is like, we never expected these things to be happen. When especially like from the East, technically, as I told you, from the East attack
all the way
until now, it's a roller coaster ride. I mean, lifting lockdowns, and then we have some window of opportunity to perform, and then to come back again, and pretty stressful. But I think as a whole, as musicians, it's something, it's very, very difficult to bear. But I mean, thinking about it positively, that I will keep myself very, very occupied and keeping myself going, that the things that I have missed out with relevant to what I do as a musician. For an instance, like, I probably have a fair knowledge of doing mixing and mastering. So that's what, through, what I have gathered, you have nothing to do.
Correct.
You had to do something. Of course, yes, cooking is keeping me going. I love cooking,
But the financial side to it all, because now even this particular lockdown, it was in talks. Then we have death counts that were going up, and boom, the weddings were stopped, everything was stopped, and people this time around planned for 150 guests. So how was it for you?
Yeah, I think I would like to talk on behalf of everybody, every musician here, because it is a very stressful situation, as I told you, because financially, the banks are like, I don't know, they're squeezing us. I had to be very, very frank regarding this. A lot of musicians are depressed. A lot of people are, but
because their income was mostly daily or like weekly.
It is absolutely, because we don't have things like EPF or ETF or
9-to-5 jobs,
and all that things that we take it as it comes.
Correct.
So it is very, very difficult.
Now there is a Western Music Association, if I'm correct. And how has this association come together during these difficult times? Yeah,
I think that
I see it on Facebook. That's why I'm asking.
One positive aspect is that there are certain associations have been formed and built. And I represent several associations, and I'm the vice president of the Western Musicians Association, WMA. So that we fortunately we had a zero bank account when we started in 2016. With the COVID, we managed to collect some substantial funds to our kitty, and through that. Not much, but then whenever possible, we assist them.
Right.
At least give them a helping hand, just to move on with this pandemic.
Yeah. Now, if you do take something that we always tend to forget is we sometimes see the lead vocalist and we feel like, that's the band. But there's so many levels to the band. You have the band that performs. There is a crew that sets it up. There's a crew that packs up and goes. All of them are now without a job. How have you kept your band afloat?
Yes, I mean, this is a very good question. I must tell you that, because that is the backbone of whatever you see on Misty on stage. The driver, the technician, the helper, all these people matters to us. But unfortunately, we assist them the best possible way that we can
during these times.
During these times, but then again, if we have to let them go, and if they think that that is sufficient enough, we don't have any had to let go. I mean, I have to do that. Not that I made the decision, it's that they made the decision. So it's very, very a sorry sight. But when it comes to the members of the band, I mean, well, very understanding. I must tell you, I have a very happy bunch who are with me for the past 18 years, and well experienced and well. They understand the situation, and we are together, and we are holding on.
Yeah. Something that I've realized as musicians is the fact that it has always been a lonely path. You know, your achievements are for yourself, and the state or the country is not so part of this journey. Do you feel that the country, the government, or the bodies that could actually govern this side of talents have come forward and done the right thing during these times?
No, I don't think so, to be very honest, because it is probably, I don't know, the lack of system. I think I always quote what our great Sunil Pereira told us. For 73 years, I'm not blaming a particular, but nobody has done a fair bit for artists or musicians or for culture. You know, in a situation like this, and everybody should know that this is our bread and butter, and we don't have any other avenues to look into. You know, so that, you know, if you take some of the countries, I mean, even Singapore or the Western countries, there is a structure has been placed.
Put together,
Place to benefit everybody, not only the musicians. So, but at least the musicians, we had to, you know, during our first lockdown here, we had to go behind each and everybody, and of course the government assisted us to a certain extent by giving us a loan,
Right.
like a relief loan, but then again at an interest that we had to do. And now, you know, as a representative of an organization, several organizations, they are coming back and asking us to pay back. And how are we going to do it?
At a point when there has been no work.
No adequate work at all.
Yeah.
There is a certain category, yes, of course, on media, on television or print. I mean, they make a little bit of money, but not everybody. So that is what you have to think as a whole.
Correct.
We are in trouble.
The wedding industry is the biggest industry that we have in our country. I think the highest amount of money is spent on that day, and we have all sorts of people working on it, from florists all the way down. Now, the plans for weddings, like the weddings that have been held, the weddings that were downsized, people who paid advances, people who wanted their advance back, how did you handle those situations?
Well, I am actually, where our hands are tight. I mean, it's a painstaking process. I'll tell you very frankly.
Yeah. So if they have paid you in advance and booked you for a wedding, and
yes, I have even clients postponing the wedding for 5th consecutive time, 4th consecutive. And how are we? Because it's a overnight situation.
Yeah, true.
What we are facing. So it is very strenuous, and I don't know how the other band leaders are coping up, but I am finding it difficult. But then again, you have to move on by convincing these people. I mean, you have to compromise, and then you have to fit into a certain date. I mean, the florist has to be available, the band has to be available, the cameraman has to be available, the venue has to be available. You know,
the bride has to be available. That's also a point. But have people asked you back for their advances?
Yes, they have.
How do you handle that situation?
Well, I actually take it. I mean, I'm very thankful that I handled a very niche market, but also people who understands the situation really well. So that in a mode of well, I generally, what we have to say is that, you know, until things get settled or sorted or come back to normalcy, and which we compromise and coming to a structure. I mean, if we really want a refund, I mean, I understand the situation, although our closure says non-refundable, but we do consider under the circumstances.
Yeah, it's a bit of a it's a tricky situation.
It is, absolutely is.
Yeah. This COVID battle has taken some very key people from Earth, and somebody is late, great Sunil Pereira, who is even in discussion for a wax statue, which I'm told, and I'm so happy that if Sri Lanka could be represented through him on a global stage. Tell me, what has COVID taught you personally?
To be very honest, I lot of patience and tolerance, I think. Because I was impatient, our job and our industry is such that it's nothing like we always get onto that stage and perform anywhere. It can be a wedding, it can be a dinner dance, or it can be you go to overseas some other country, or playing at a club or a lobby. It's just that, as musicians, we have something in common, that's to perform, to entertain people. So without doing that for about 80 days, you have to have a lot of tolerance and patience, I believe.
To sit and wait. Wanted to ask you, 31st nights are a big thing in Sri Lanka. I think I know of people who have gone and settled down in other countries who make sure that they fly down for 31st night, because they always say nobody knows how to party like the Sri Lankans. And it's true.
It is, absolutely.
Yeah, we dance the night away up to eating kiribat. We know how to do it. Tell me, this 31st night, normally you would have been booked months ahead or even years ahead.
Yes.
How was it last 31st, this 31st? How is it?
Yeah, in the first place, we didn't play last 31st night. So, I mean...
That was one of a kind.
That's like, well, entire career. First thing need to happen. I mean, I think during tsunami, it didn't take place. I mean, most of the... Otherwise, I mean, in a situation like this, 31st night, it is...
Have you been booked already?
Well, I have several inquiries, tentatively, because again, it's depending on the situation. We never know. And even overseas, I have some inquiries from overseas. So we don't know what exactly going to happen. But celebrating a 31st, I think we should. I think enough is enough. Let's take things positively with this pandemic, because we cannot go along like this. The world has to open up. The world has to be very cheerful, and the world has to enjoy and celebrate. I believe that, I'm sure that if we place things together, vaccination is very important. I think see what's happening in England. I mean, you got 30, 40,000 people, and you have games of sports being played, and I mean, I think, yes, we should move on. I think you have to think as a whole, as everybody, and glued to their houses, and it's enough now. I don't believe in stagnating ourselves, and it's over. I think it's almost over. I hope, I do believe, but life should go on.
Yeah. Well, I think we need to keep this in mind, because sometimes we forget there's so much happening around us. Every industry has its own struggles, has its own pains, and it has taken a huge beating. Throughout this series, we spoke to different industry leaders about how they have managed during these times. Thank you, Rajitha, for giving us such an insight to how you and other musicians are coping during this time. Thank you so very much. On that note, we will wrap things up. Thanks for being with me.
Thank you very much, Danu. Thank you for having me.
No problem. We will see you with another edition to Close Quarters, and hopefully this series will end soon, because we want everything to be open and not to be closed. See you soon. Till then, be safe.